In the blistering heat of the Wild West noon, the dust-choked town of Bravestone gathered to witness yet another cruel spectacle, for the men who ruled it believed fear was the only law worth enforcing, and today their target was a woman named Elara, a quiet soul whose only crime was being unable to bear a child for a husband who had abandoned her long before the whispers began. Dragged through the town square by coarse rope burning her wrists, she felt the weight of humiliation heavier than the desert sun until, through the haze of dust, a thunderous figure appeared, Kael, the outcast warrior whose presence alone could hush a raging storm, a man carved from hardship and battle, draped in wolf fur, eyes blazing with a fury that made even armed cowboys hesitate. He had roamed for months across sun-cracked plains and rattlesnake canyons searching for peace, but fate pulled him back when he heard what Bravestone had done, for Elara was the only soul who had ever shown him kindness in a world that had taught him nothing but violence, and as she lay on her knees, breath trembling, clothes torn, watching guns pointed at her, she believed this day would be her last, until Kael's roar split the air like the crack of thunder, his boots pounding the ground in a storm of dust as he swung his axe with molten fire in his eyes, the steel sparking when it struck the rope binding her, sending a rain of bright embers across the dirt. The cowboys shouted, cocking the hammers of their revolvers, but Kael's presence seemed to warp the very air, his fury turning into a shield around her as she collapsed forward, stunned, realizing she was finally free. Bullets were fired, echoing between wooden saloons and weathered storefronts, but Kael moved with the precision of a predator, dodging and striking with the force of a desert tempest, knocking down the men who had tormented her. Each swing of his axe a vow that she would never again be harmed by hands unworthy of touching her. Horses neighed in panic, the ground shook beneath the chaos, and the townsfolk who had gathered, some out of fear, others out of cruel curiosity, watched with wide eyes as one man dismantled the tyranny that had poisoned Bravestone for years. Elara, her heart pounding like a runaway stallion, crawled backward, tears streaking the dust on her cheeks, unable to understand why a man so feared by all had risked his life for her. And when the last cowboy fell, their guns scattered like broken pride. Across the ground, Kael returned to her side, breathing hard, his body glistening with sweat and battle-born fire. He knelt, his hand trembling as he reached toward her, not out of dominance but a desperate need to assure himself she was truly alive, and in that moment she understood the truth he never spoke. She had been the light in his darkest hours long before she ever knew he wandered the world searching for belonging. The townspeople, shaken to their core, whispered in awe and shame as they realized the innocence of the woman they had nearly executed and the monstrous injustice they had allowed to thrive beneath their silence, and as Kael gently lifted Elara to her feet, she felt strength returning to her bones, not because she was saved, but because someone believed she deserved saving. Together they walked out of the square, the sun dipping behind them like a curtain closing on an era of cruelty, the dust swirling around their silhouettes as though the desert itself bowed to their courage. Behind them lay broken guns, broken pride, and a broken reign of fear, but ahead, beyond the wooden buildings, beyond the tracks of the last outlaw train, waited a horizon neither of them had dared dream of, a place where her past wounds could finally heal and his long wandering could end. And though the world called him a monster, a savage, an outcast, she saw him now as the fiercest protector fate could have sent, while he saw in her the one thing all his battles had never won, a reason to live not as a weapon, but as a man. And so, beneath the burning sky that witnessed everything, two wounded souls who had been judged, scarred, and cast aside began a journey toward a life shaped not by the cruelty of men, but by the quiet, stubborn hope that love, born in the dust and fire of a single moment, could rewrite even the harshest stories of the Wild West.